Welcome, lady friends. What's up? It's your girl here, Olivia, international life and business coach. If you're a creative and ambitious woman who wants to have breakthroughs not only in your business, your bank account, but also your brain, then this is the podcast for you, girlfriend. Get ready to rock your online business, master your social media presence, and monetize your passion from your mobile. Woo! It's time to elegantly strap on those lady balls and jump in. Are you ready to start slaying your side hustle? If so, then join me. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode. This episode is a bit different as it's actually a Facebook Live that I ran for my women in my Facebook group, Slaying Your Side Hustle Online, and it's all about how to manage and cope in your business during the coronavirus. Because this is actually a live, you might hear me referring to someone or something or a comment throughout the recording, so it's just me interacting with my people. Yes, I'm mentioning the dreaded C word. It's the big red elephant in the room right now, and it's something that I personally can't ignore, and a lot of businesses can't ignore right now either. So since the mass hysteria hit the globe this year in 2020, I do think it's something that needs to be addressed for my listeners. I do apologize for the quality of the audio. However, I believe that this message is super duper important right now, and I wanted to share it with all my listenership, which is you guys. So if this helps one of you or all of you, I'd be very happy with that. I really hope that you enjoy this and take something away from it. So clearly there's a lot of people freaking out at the moment, yeah? I was one of them a couple of days ago. Being the natural INFJ and introvert and empathic qualities that I guess I have, I kind of absorbed everyone's energy and found it really hard to kind of like cope and manage, and I just felt like there was this heightened anxiety and underlying tension and all this sort of stuff. So I was dealing with my own stuff, taking on, family, friends, clients, people online, the news, all that sort of stuff, and was just struggling a little bit trying to figure out how I wanted to feel and how I wanted to navigate this sort of stuff. And since then, I've worked through a few things, and I think I have some really helpful strategies that I can actually share with you guys. So I find that there tends to be this theme happening at the moment where people are either on one extreme where they're completely losing their shit and they're freaking out, they're panicking, they're stressed, they're not sleeping, they're not eating well, they don't feel like they can, go to the gym. Obviously, in some parts of the world, you actually can't leave your house right now. And it's very much like a doomsday mentality. And their emotions are running amok and they're, not in control, so to speak. They're very much living at like effect of what's happening, getting stressed out by a lot of external factors. And then you've got people on the other side, which are the other extreme, which is like very hippy-dippy about it, kind of like overly positive and overly calm and kind of like a sweeping it under the rug sort of mentality. Do you know what I mean? Like kind of too positive about things when you're like, hang on a second, do you actually know what's going on here? And of course they do, but people are doing the best that they can with what they know, yeah, and how to react and that sort of thing. So there's actually a sweet spot in the middle, which is where you don't have to be totally freaked out that you can't function, or just want to run away from the world and hide under your blankets, or lash out at people and, cause issues in the shopping aisle trying to get toilet paper. But there's also a difference to like being so cool, calm and collected that it can in one sense piss people off because you're like, some people are worse off than others. So they're like, how can you be so positive about it when it feels like my life is falling apart sort of thing? So there actually is a sweet spot in the middle where you're aware of what's going on, but you're also relatively in control of how you're responding. So you're not reacting in a very heightened emotional way, and things aren't affecting you that it can tilt your mood like that. But it's also kind of recognizing that this is actually going to be a short-lived period of time in our history for the most part. This isn't going to go on for 10, 20 years. We don't know how long it's going to go on. We don't know how long it's going to take for it to all unfold or how much worse or better it's going to get. There's a lot of unknowns, and this is the thing about the future. There's so much uncertainty. Most people are fearful and scared of it, which is a natural human response, yeah? So the first piece of advice I've got for you guys is to feel through what you need to feel through, yeah? Don't suppress yourself. Don't sweep it under the rug and go, okay, what's next, and go straight into masculine action energy. Allow yourself to feel scared if you need to. Allow yourself to cry if you've lost, or, because we're grieving in a sense. We're grieving a lot of people that are around the world and are isolated and self-contained. They're grieving what their life was like when they had more freedom, and now they're feeling very restricted and fearful. And, perhaps even like being forced into small periods with people that perhaps they don't want to be spending so much time with. Do you know what I mean? Like if they've got an unhealthy relationship, or, their kids are bouncing off the walls and they don't know how to manage. Like there's a lot going on, do you know what I mean, in people's lives. So the important thing is not to suppress. Like, for us to be able to feel the high vibe emotions and the higher vibration and frequency sort of beautiful stuff that we can access, you need to go through feeling like shit first for the most part. You know, if you need to feel through that, allow yourself to feel that. Give yourself the space to kind of do that. I know for me, I did that a couple of days ago. I was feeling very, from a nursing perspective, I thought things were going to get a lot worse. They still might. We don't know. And it freaked me out a little bit. And I went totally introverted and spent the day at home, didn't get any work done. I totally got in my own way and let it affect me. And I watched things like Pandemic on Netflix, and I watched World War Z, which, you know, for some people may not be a good idea, but for me, it's what I really needed to watch that day. I needed to kind of see, okay, cool, it's way worse off in that movie. You know, yes, we're spreading a virus around the world, but at least they're not turning into zombies or becoming super aggressive and they attack you. You know what I mean? So watching something like that actually really helped me, whereas for some people that probably wouldn't help them, would probably scare them even more. But have you guys ever watched a movie where like you were feeling really sad and you just needed to watch like P.S. I Love You or The Notebook and just have a good cry, and watching something like that allowed you to release that emotion? It's the same sort of thing with this, guys. So if you need to do that for yourself, allow yourself to do that. So this is what this is all about, right? So if you're a small business owner, a female entrepreneur like myself, this is the sort of thing, external factors that we can allow impact our business, right? So this is the difference between responding and then reacting. So if we're reacting to everything at the moment from a place of fear, from a place of scarcity, from a place of like anxiety, what do you think that's doing to your energy? And then if you are as a one-woman show at the moment, or you have a small team, or you're growing that or whatever, imagine how that energy is transferring to other people around you, because energy is actually contagious. Psychologically, it's been proven that we match and mirror other people on a subconscious level. So if our energy is tilted and funky, what tends to happen is that we operate from a low vibe place, and that affects people around us. Not only our teams, if you've got one, but also your clients, your customers, your potential prospects, all of that. So it's about being really self-aware in these times and really aware of your energy. And if you need to take a time out to go fix your energy first, I really recommend that you go do that. And also protecting your energy too, guys. So like a lot of people that are in this existing group used to follow me in the narcissistic recovery space of coaching. And a lot of you guys are either on the codependent side of the scale or you're empathic, like you're empaths, right? So it's very easy to absorb energy for you guys. So kind of like protecting your energy and shielding yourself and regrounding yourself is really important in this period. Whether it's, you know, you go outside and you stick your feet in the ground to recenter yourself, because magnetically that actually has an impact on us as well. Or if it's like journaling, meditating, you know, listening to a guided meditation, taking a relaxation bath, whatever it is that you need to do for self-care to get on top of your energy, that's really important, because that's going to affect your mindset. And as we know, energy is contagious, so it's going to affect everyone around you as well, including the people that you live with, if you live with anyone. But also your pets. So like even my cats, when I was feeling tilted, I noticed that even they were acting strange. So I was like, wow, I'm even a leader in my own life. Like not only a leader in my own life, my own business, my own household, like in every single aspect, right? It's the same thing with you guys. So there's a thing called the power string. And typically when these big events happen, which the last one happened, I think 101 years ago, it can send people spiraling into scarcity and a feeling of lack of control, and a feeling of powerlessness and despair and desperation and hopelessness. And that's a reactive feeling. It's not a conscious responding feeling, right? So what people are looking for right now is a sense of control. But the thing is that there's only so much that we can control right now, even in our business. Right? The economy is doing its own thing. The healthcare system's doing its own thing. We don't have control over how, we have some control over how the virus spreads. We don't have complete control, right? So it's about stepping into your personal power and gaining the control that you can get in this moment, on this day, and that sort of thing. So the sort of things that you do have control over is not all the external stuff that's going on right now. You can't control the government. You can't do this, that, and the other. But what you do have control over is how you respond to this external stimulus, this external event, your own emotions, how you run your day, how you decide to show up in your business and serve others. That is what you have control over. And if you don't feel like you have control over that, that actually means that you have some more work to do with emotional mastery. And that's okay, because, you know, we're all human, we're all growing and learning, we're all developing, and that's a normal part of human behavior, yeah? And I'm still doing it now. As you could see a couple of days ago, I was struggling a little bit with all of it. I was becoming very overwhelmed with all of it. And I was like, oh my God, and now I'm like, cool, I've taken that time out. I've processed what's going on. I have had to step into the trust of the universe and trusting in my own human will. I've had to sit there and journal out, okay, cool, what's the worst case scenario that could happen right now? How could things get worse? And I journaled it all out. I felt through all the pain, all the things that could go wrong. And then I asked myself and journaled out, what's the best case scenario here? Could I live with both? And the answer was yes. So in these circumstances, when you're struggling, I want you to look back over your life and go, what are parts, and by the way, most of you guys are between the age of 24 and 36 in this group, I believe, looking at the analytics of my Facebook group. So a lot of you guys aren't necessarily in the at-risk vulnerable group. Like, you're not elderly where you're over the age of 65. I don't know if you guys are pregnant or not, but you're also not children either. So your likelihood of contracting it is probably less than the norm or the average population group. And I know this because I'm in healthcare. So that's a good thing, right? So the thing is to actually sit down, look through your history and go, okay, cool. When did it feel like things like I was never going to recover? When did something feel like it was completely impossible, but I overcame that, or I moved through it, or I jumped through that obstacle and that test and I made it through? Think about those times in your life. Like for me specifically, I can think of a handful. I can think of one when my parents broke up and we lost our house, and then I had to talk myself into uni because I didn't get in. Then I made it through my narcissistic relationship when I didn't think I'd cope or survive being single, and here I am loving it, and then now, do you know what I mean? Like there's all these things going on that you can actually look back on your life and accumulate as evidence that you will get through this, and this is just a period of time in your life. It's a different chapter. It's another stage in history, and we just happen to be alive in this generation for it. And we will pull through, we will recover. It's just a matter of when. So it's also moving away from the victim mentality to the victor. And I know it's easy to say because there might be some people that watch this and they're like, oh my gosh, Olivia, you have no idea what's happened to me in my life and my family and my business and all of this sort of stuff. And you're right, I don't. I'm not going to say it's all okay right now because it probably isn't okay right now. But what I am here to say is that things, humans are extremely adaptable, especially kids actually. They're like sponges. But the human race is extremely adaptable. We've done it for hundreds of years, like even longer than that. Like we adapt to circumstances. At times we thought that something would end us or overcome us or permanently damage us or whatever, we find a way to bounce back. We always do. And this is not going to be any different. It's just that it's a different external event that's going on right now. Thanks for commenting. So the challenge for us at the moment, right, is actually deciding our emotions and working through that, yeah? And the other thing too is like if you're feeling really fearful and scared of losing something, this is actually a good sign because it means that you really care and it means that you have something to lose, right? So let's compare what I mean. If you had someone that was completely bankrupt, didn't live anywhere, didn't really have anything, didn't have any savings, not much super, didn't have any kids, didn't have any family. Like I know it sounds quite awful, but they've got less to lose, right? So they might be a little bit less, worried or fearful or anxious about this sort of thing because, if you compare it to someone that's got like a really successful, high-functioning business and they're making six figures and they've got children and they've got like this amazing life and they've got, all this money in the bank and this superannuation, like for them, what's that saying, that you up the ante. So it's kind of like they're kind of like up here and they're scared of losing all this stuff and coming down to there. Do you know what I mean? But people that are up here can still have emotional mastery and can still control how they want to respond to their situation. Yeah. So it just depends how you want to interpret that. This is actually called behavioral flexibility, and this is such an important quality to have when you're an entrepreneur, and I'm still exercising it even now, and I probably will continue to exercise this for the rest of my days in business, because in business there is a level of uncertainty. Yeah, you can't guarantee when the next client's going to come. You can't guarantee the next paycheck. You can't guarantee that your business is going to make that particular mark or milestone by this date 100% of the time, Like there's more uncertainty, so to speak. And so when a situation like this arises with like coronavirus, there's massive amounts of uncertainty. Yeah. So having behavioral flexibility is extremely, extremely important. And at the moment, people are freaking out because they're worried about their needs not being met. We're worried about toilet paper, food, shelter, all that sort of stuff. That's our basic human needs on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go Google it because it's actually really good. At the moment, we've lived from a life of privilege for the most part in the Western society, and now we're kind of sinking into the whole scarcity and survival survival mode and kind of like, crap, can I eat? Can I feed my kids? Can I feed my family? Like, can I pay my bills? Can I keep the roof over my head with my mortgage or my rent? Can I keep my job? You know, like we've got all those basic human needs that are starting to seep back in that people are starting to freak out about and getting a little bit worried. So where focus goes, energy flows. This is one of my favorite sayings, and I'd love to have it tattooed on my butt cheek because I love it. And it's so true. So where you're focusing right now is where you're placing your energy, and thought is energy. So if you're focusing on what you're going to be missing out on, or the potential of things getting worse, or freaking out of, you know, the changes that have happened right now, guess what? Energetically, you're going to be sinking into a low vibe frequency. You're going to bring more of that about. Whereas if you start to step into your emotional mastery and you have the tools and strategies and things that you actually know work for you, and you've implemented those and you actually practice them, you're going to be into a higher vibe frequency and you're going to attract more of that good stuff. And this is why some people are getting good results in business and why some aren't. And it's not just the only reason, I understand that, but at the moment, this is a tricky time for businesses. You know, a lot of them are struggling. I've heard of cases where some coaches have had $100,000 deals or contracts cancelled. Yeah, like that's big. I've heard of another coach who's lost 3 clients currently. One's been suspended, 2 have wanted refunds, and that's a $2,000 dent in her weekly pay. So she might be in a place of struggle now. It's not to say it's her fault by any means, like this is an external event, but she's actually got a really good mindset about it. Like she was actually talking about it in her group with her people and sharing what was going on for her and sharing a lesson. And I so admired her for that. I was like, that is so awesome. Go you. Like even when times are tough for you, you have every reason to freak out. She's there helping other people. She's there serving and showing up. And then you've got the other side of the coin where, you know, I've got a coaching couple that I know who have had their biggest week in business to date. And then another person I know who has had a $7,000 pre-sale day. So made $7,000 in total, in full, in one day for their program, and they haven't even sold it out yet. So where focus goes, energy flows, right? So for me as a coach, I could have easily, or a business owner, I could have easily fixated on that $100,000 contract and this and that, and people losing this, that, and $60,000 worth in debt and losing staff and blah, 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 and it sucks. Like it absolutely fucking sucks. Don't get me wrong, I'm not sugarcoating this at all. But where I choose to spend my focus and where I choose to pour and nurture my energy is hearing the success stories and actually being in that higher vibration so I can be pulled up to that, so I can keep helping other people the way that I normally do, right? I still want to show up in my business. I still want to do what I do. That doesn't have to change when you have an online business. And this brings me to my next point. From online businesses to in real life, in person, face-to-face, workshops, events, whatever it is that you do that requires you to be physically present in a room with people, obviously that's changing. So in a lot of countries, you can't actually be leaving your house. We know this. In Australia, you can't have gatherings of more than 100 people in a room. And that might potentially be changing. And, you know, they might come to the point where we can't even do that. Do you know what I mean? So this is actually a really great opportunity for business owners to start re-looking at their business plan and their business strategy and go, okay, cool, why can't we move our face-to-face or live event to an online event? So instead of cancelling it and then missing out on helping other people, serving other people, making money and profit in your business, why not move it to an online event, an online workshop, an online class, something like that where you can soften the blow, because at the end of the day, there's predictions that by 2025, most businesses would be online anyway. An event like this is speeding up the process. And for me personally, I think that I kind of consider this coronavirus thing now, because it's the biggest thing that's happened in modern history. I kind of think of it as like BC. So instead of before Christ, it's like before coronavirus, and then you've got AC, which is after coronavirus, right? I think that's how we're going to be judging our lives. There's going to be a new normal. Things are going to be different, whether we like it or not. And as I said, we need to adapt to that. Sarah, wow, in Boston, we're down to 10 people in one room. Yeah, and that might change here. You know, personally, I think that it probably will. From a healthcare perspective and learning about how pandemics go and this sort of stuff, I personally think it's going to get worse. And when it gets better, then it getting better. But that's okay. We'll make it through. We're humans. So that's what we do, right? So changing your business model and moving more to the online space. And if you do something like cosmetic injectables and you have to physically be there to do the service, maybe it's time time to start thinking about how else you can serve people in that way. You know, maybe it's signing up with a company that does makeup and skincare instead, or, you know, selling a physical product, or doing online education about that and selling it as a package instead, instead of you actually like having to physically do the injection yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I've got a client at the moment who's a lactation consultant, so she does a lot of in breast work. She does a lot of face-to-face work, right? Because she has to physically be there to help the baby get on, position the breast, express breast milk, all this sort of stuff. And I said to her, okay, cool. So now we know how things are going. Let's start doing an online program and getting people into your stuff that way, yeah? Because it may not be safe for you to be doing this face-to-face now and all this sort of stuff. So it's about strategizing. It's about getting smart. It's about being one step ahead. It's about predicting where things are going to go, because at the end of the day, this is your business, this is your livelihood, this is what you do, and if you don't do anything, your business will drop off, yeah? So we don't want that to happen. And I just want to make a good note here. So Sir Isaac Newton was forced to stay at home during the Great Plague of London in 1665 in Cambridge. During this time, right, he took full advantage of this and he invented calculus, parts of optic theory, and allegedly while sitting outside in his garden, he saw an apple fall from the tree that inspired the understanding of his, you know, notions of gravity and the laws of motion. So he utilized this time to the best of his ability. He created something wonderful and great, which benefited the whole world. And he also sat outside, by the way, which is really important. That was a good important note I wanted to make there. Like, he wasn't cooped up inside. So if you can sit outside just for a couple of minutes, or, as I said, ground your feet into the grass, then do that sort of thing, yeah? Like, this is a great time to start reflecting, start reviewing and assessing things, start getting crafty, start problem solving, you know, and you can't do that if you're in victimhood or if you're in victim mode or you're reacting to things, yeah? Like, that was like me a couple of days ago. I didn't want to do any work. I didn't want to show up. I didn't want to have to answer to anyone. I didn't want to have to collaborate with my team. I didn't want to have to write a podcast episode, you know? Like, there's all this sort of stuff that I was avoiding, but that's because I was in low vibe. That's because I was in victim mentality, and now I'm not. I've worked through that, and now I'm in victor mentality. And at the end of the day, guys, if you're watching this live right now, and I know there's a couple of you guys that are, and people that are going to watch the replay, and people that are even in my group listening to my stuff, engaging in my stuff, you guys at the end of the day are leaders. You are light workers. The world needs you. The world needs your individual, unique, and precious gifts. So don't hide away and keep them squandered. Yeah, like, the world needs you more now than ever. There are more eyes online now than ever before, because there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of people sitting at home twiddling their thumbs, looking online, looking for updates on the news, you know, trying to distract themselves, or trying to find people to look up to for guidance. And if you have a business, you are one of these people, yeah, which is really cool. Like, what a beautiful blessing. What an honor, you know, to be in a position like that. So if you are a business owner or an entrepreneur, you actually have a responsibility, not just to yourself, but, you know, you're a natural leader in some instance. So you actually have a responsibility to other people too, which is so great. We need true leaders to rise in these times. We need people to empower their audience. We need, in these moments, the leaders actually get more connected to their why, because they realize it's more than just about themselves. Like, as a collective whole, globally, we are literally all in the same boat right now. We are all in this together. Not one person isn't affected. We all are in some capacity. So by silencing yourself, you're withholding your gifts, and that kind of plays into a limiting belief, because if you're silencing yourself and you're not showing up, you're not being consistent, and you're hiding away, like, by all means do that if you need to get your mindset and your energy right to be able to step back up. But, you know, if you're giving into that limiting belief, it's telling your audience that maybe I shouldn't sell to you right now. Maybe you can't afford my product or my service. Maybe you don't have enough money to invest in what I have to offer. And that's detrimental, because you're feeding into that limiting belief, and it's just purely not true. As I said before, there's people that are investing in a lot in other businesses and programs and products and all that sort of stuff right now. So yes, if you have a following, or you're a micro influencer, or you have some sort of audience or listenership, I really encourage you guys to actually step up and make the world a better place right now, because there's a lot of scared, anxious, and hurt people happening. And personally, I think in terms of the future, I think this is a huge awakening on a global mass scale. And there are major lessons that are being learned, and lessons that are still to come. As the saying goes, this too shall pass, you know. There are 5.5 billion souls living on earth right now. That's a lot of people that you can touch. That's a lot of lives you can connect with, and a lot of people you have to offer your things to. So I want you guys to be thinking long term, not just short term. We're all kind of like zooming in on this moment and going, holy crap, and, you know, the shit's hitting the fan, and, you know, we're throwing our hands up in the air for the most part. But as I said, we're going to get over this. We're going to recover. And then what? If you halt or stall your business or you become stagnant right now, what do you think that's going to mean in 6-12 months' time? Where do you think you're going to be at the end of this? Are you going to be riding the wave and be on top, or are you going to be sunk underneath below? That was a good analogy, actually. I want you guys to think of this event as like a test, as a challenge. It's trying to see, what are you made of? How good are your problem-solving abilities? How strategic and resourceful are you? Because 50% of people are going to be living in fear, while the other people are going to be fired up. And which side of the coin do you want to be on? Do you want to be the fired up 50% where you're getting shit done and you're reaching people and you're helping them? Or are you wanting to be living in fear and doing that fight, flight, or freeze response where you run away and hide, distract yourself, break down, or not show up, or do you want to be that 50% that gets up and fights and is ready, and is like, whatever comes my way, I'm going to do this, because persistence pays off. Persistence pays off. In my life, that's been a huge soul lesson for me. Every time I've been persistent about something, it has always fucking paid off. Persistence pays off. And this instance, this event in history is no different. If you show up in your business will pay you. It'll pay you. Persistence pays off, and people will pay you as well. We're all survivors in some capacity. Like, as I said, this group used to be a narcissistic recovery group. The women that were in this group were bloody survivors, and it's no different with you guys now being in your businesses, yeah? We are greater than our external circumstances, and we know that businesses might be taking a hit, but others are actually doing quite well. So it depends where you want to focus your energy on that as a recap. Think about the stock market at the moment. Be opportunistic. So if you know anything about stocks and bonds, when there's a big drop in the economy, like the global financial crisis, all the stocks and bonds got cheaper because people were selling because they're getting very grabby with their money. But what actually happened was more investors started buying at a low price. Then when things went on the upswing, right, everything increased and they made bucket loads of money. So while some people were living in fear and selling off their shares and stocks and their bonds and grabbing the money that they could and running, there was opportunistic people sitting there and going, this is actually really cheap. This is the best time to be investing right now, because when things recover and we go on that upslide, they're going to make shitloads of cash. And that's exactly what happened, and that's exactly what's happening now. So even though we're seeing lots of red on the boards, it's actually a really good thing for investors right now. It's a huge opportunity. Huge opportunity. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, because that's a really great, tangible, realistic, live thing that's happening right now. Okay, so I've got a list of do's and don'ts, because we're going to wrap this up. It's been half an hour. Do's. What I want you guys to do is to keep showing up powerfully in your businesses. Keep offering, keep selling, keep serving, keep caring, keep bringing massive value, keep running a business, keep doing what you're doing. Don't stop that launch. Yeah, if you're launching a program, don't get in your way and stop that. People need your program right now. You need your program right now. Hit that record button on that podcast episode. Write that blog post. Take the selfies that you need for your social media. Keep investing in yourself, because growth doesn't stop, yeah? Start taking your business to new heights. Realize that this is a major opportunity. Keep taking action. Be consistent in your business. Build your online presence. There's more eyes on you now than ever. There are thousands of people, as I said, monitoring what's going on. Share your unique gifts with the world. Continue sharing your message and empowering people. And come from a space of love and not fear. Faith over finances. Faith over finances. Faith over finances. If you've got to write that shit down on a sticky note or put it on the wallpaper of your mobile screen, do it, guys. Faith over finances. Faith is always more important than finances, yeah? I remember an incident last year when I was finishing up with a few clients, and I was freaking out because I was like, I dropped the ball and I wasn't still advertising and promoting and attraction marketing. And I said to my coach, I was like, oh my God, like this client finishes up soon. I don't know what I'm going to do. There's no one in the wings. I haven't got any prospects. I don't know what's going to happen. And then literally out of nowhere, I had a client pop up. Like, she wasn't a client at the time. She was a prospect, turned into a client, and she replaced that client that finished up with me. I didn't know that was going to happen. I just had to have faith. And that was a great lesson for me. Faith over finances every time, guys. Some things that I don't want you to be doing, okay? Take a big sip with me. Something that I wouldn't recommend doing, and I'll be completely transparent. So I did a post recently, we've seen in the group, where I was talking about how coronavirus, like, this is a great time to start an online business and monetize, and get a secondary source of income, getting crafty and resourceful and finding a way to look after yourself and serve others at the same time. Posted that in this group, it was well received. Posted it in like 15 other groups, it was well received, all but one. And it was actually really surprising because because they don't know me, right? Not personally. They didn't really know what my intention was behind that message that I shared with everyone. And in this particular one group's culture, I could tell it was really negative and from a place of scarcity and lack. And they absolutely jumped down my throat saying, how dare you, promote people getting an online business in this time? People are struggling, all this sort of stuff. And I was like, well, this is why I'm posting it, because people are struggling and this is a great option for people. Do you know what I mean? That's how I thought I was helping people. Anyway, they were quite savage. They were really quite savage, actually. And I was like, holy shit, they're actually thinking that I'm fear-mongering people into starting a business. Like, they think I'm trying to leverage or capitalize on getting people to start businesses and then hire me as their business coach. And I was like, wow, holy shit, things can really get perceived the wrong way. So be really careful about your wording when you are putting your offers out there. That was a good lesson for me. I had to learn, okay, cool. So not only is this group, a scarcity group and I don't really want to be a part of their culture, I need to be more aware of how I communicate things online as well. So it doesn't come off as looking like really like icky or anything like that, because that's not what I'm about anyway. So what I don't want you to do is, so even just with the launch, right? So like don't not do your launch if you're starting one, or putting out new products or whatever it is that you're going to do. Still follow through and do that stuff. Like for me personally, I'll let you guys in on a secret. I was gearing up to moving overseas for about 4 to 6 months, and I was like this close to buying plane tickets and renting out my house. And the plan was to move to Bali and become a digital gypsy or a digital nomad and live that lifestyle for 6 months and run my business full-time overseas. That obviously isn't happening right now because Australia has banned people from leaving the country, which is totally fine. So that plan is being delayed. It may not even happen now. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. It could be another year or more. Things can change. But my plan was to actually launch a online presence and podcast course when I was over there. And I recently realized, well, that's not happening. Am I not going to do my course? And then I realized, no, I'm definitely going to still do my course. Now is not as good as any, but like actually better. So that's what I mean, guys. Like, don't stop or halt things just because of what's going on. If anything, it should be a motivator to do more and to get out there more. Your life and goals don't have to be put on pause. Switch to the growth mindset instead. Don't be scared to sell. I know there's some people that might be thinking it's a really insensitive time to be selling right now, but it's actually not an insensitive time to sell, because your business is your livelihood and people need your help. And so when you think of it like that, and that people walk away with more instead of less when they hire you or buy stuff from you, like, that needs to be a core belief of yours now. So the world's not going to stop spinning. We're all still breathing and existing for the most part. There's no reason why you can't be doing your business and, running business as usual online. If you already have an online business, nothing should be changing. If anything, you should be ramping it up more. Don't sell if you're capitalizing off other people's fear during this time. Don't sell them what they don't need. If you truly believe that someone needs this thing or this service from you, then, feel free to sell it to them, but don't do it just out of your own lack or scarcity. Don't leverage off people's scarcity in order to sell. We aren't, as coaches especially, if you're a coach, you're not wanting to profit from people's fear or scarcity, because that's icky. And that's not why you started a business. You started a business to help people, not just help yourself. So I think from an integrity standpoint and a moral compass standpoint, that needs to be really important. And I'm not saying that any of you guys have done that, but just as a consideration with what's going on at the moment, don't be cutting people from your programs or your offers or your one-to-ones just because they can't pay you right now. I've been very lucky. I haven't had any clients that have brought any monetary issues to me. That might change in the future. I don't know. If it does, will I be okay? Fuck yes, I will be okay. I'll make it okay. But don't be cutting people off just because they can't pay you. Try and negotiate and work out a system that works for them if they need to extend their payment plan. Just make sure that you're not like, this is it, or it's done. Do you know what I mean? Like, people are struggling at the moment. So help them help themselves, if that makes sense. So if you can do something in some way as a coach or as a business owner, find a way to do that. Don't completely halt or stop your business because of the unknown or because of fear of the future. We all know this is going to get better eventually. We just don't know when, and don't stop showing up. So what I wanted to say as well was, like, some of the limiting beliefs that have come up for me in journaling a few days ago is what I wanted to share with you guys. And I want to share with you guys the empowering belief that I replaced it with, and then actually tapped it out through EFT tapping. So when I was in a fearful place, some of the fearful, limiting and disempowering beliefs that came up for me was like, what if I'm not going to be okay? What if something bad happens? And I'm easily stressed out, and people may not want to buy or purchase or invest right now, so I should postpone my launch or offers or products or services. They were my limiting beliefs. My empowering beliefs now are, I will be okay no matter what. I always find a way. I'm a survivor. I'm in control of how I feel and how I respond. And when people invest in my offer, they walk away better with more, not less. And I will continue to show up powerfully and sell powerfully because my message, my mission, and my values are unshakable. I am fearless. So just to finish up, I want you to think about how you can move your business if it's face-to-face online. I want you to be thinking about how to manage your energy and your mindset during this tilting period. I want you to think about appropriate ways to sell. And I want you to think about how you can actually help the people that are fearful right now. So there's 50% that are like fired up, cool, they're good to go, but the 50% that are in fear and scarcity right now, think about how you can serve them. So maybe slowing things down a bit, giving more value than ever, extending those payment plans, offering a low value cost entry fee or something like that, because at the end of the day, we're here to help people. Yeah. So persistence pays off, and go and slay the day, guys. Thanks for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in and for spending this beautiful time together on the Slaying Your Side Hustle podcast. I am so glad that you stopped by, and if you want to stop by again, then hit the subscribe button for future episodes. For more beyond this podcast, you can email me at oliviapowcoaching@gmail.com, or you can even send me a Facebook DM telling me what you thought and what you'd like to hear more of. Feel free to hang out with me on Instagram, tag me, or share my stuff on your stories, whatever you like. If you could just take 1 second to share this episode with someone who would love it, then that would truly be amazing, and this would continue to contribute to the greater good by spreading the love to thousands and thousands of like-minded entrepreneurial and business women around the globe. Isn't that a cool thought? I think so too. See you in the next episode.